Alright, now for our next topic, lighting. Your lighting is going to be important because right now everything is lit by the default skybox and this one directional light. But we never want to really rely on default settings. Painting with light allows us to control the mood and really guide the player's eyes in the game. The first step though to painting light is starting with a blank canvas. So let's come up here to window. We're going to go to rendering, lighting. In this panel or window, we're going to click on environment. We're going to go ahead and delete that skybox. We're going to change the source from skybox to color. Alright, make sure your ambient color, if it's anything on anything other than black, that you switch it to black. We're going to go ahead and change our reflections multiplier to 0, and that should get us set up. Now we still see some lighting here from this directional light, so let's go ahead and turn it off. And there's our blank canvas, and we're all set for the next step. Now let's bring some lighting back. We already have this directional light here, so let's turn that on and talk about it. So the directional light acts like the sun or moon. If you don't know what I mean, then let's go ahead and raise this up in the air with our move tool, and you see nothing actually happens whether I move it up or down. Nothing changes. But if I access my rotation tool and I start to rotate it along the y-axis, you can see what happens with the shadows. It starts changing the direction of the shadows and acting as if the sun would, as the sun kind of moves and rotates in the earth rotates around the sun, right? So a directional light affects the entire scene equally from an infinite distance based entirely on its rotation. So I'm going to rotate mine just a little bit so it's not like directly down at it. I'm also going to change the color to a little bit of a blue here, a little bit like it's a dusk or early evening look, something about like that. Like that? No. Let's go ahead and make it a little bit darker, something like it's almost nighttime. So there we go. There we go, like the street lights would just be coming on. Now let's talk about our local lights. The second light we're going to talk about is a point light. So right click, go to light, or right click in your hierarchy, go to light. Let's go ahead and click on point light. Now you see it appear here in the game window, in the game scene, right? It's right here in the center. If I move it up, you can see it move it around the scene. So let's rotate this. We can move it over here. Think of this as your bare light bulb or a torch or even a campfire. It emits light equally in all directions, but unlike the sun, it has a range. The light fades out the further away you get. So as I move it up, you can see it's fading out. When I bring it closer, it gets brighter and more focused, right? The third light we're going to talk about, if we go right click in our hierarchy, go to light again, the third light we're going to talk about is the spotlight. Right, this is a flashlight, a car light, or even, if we move it over, a street light, and we can actually just place that up here in our street light. Now it does also have a range, so if we extend, let's bring the range up, and you can see it right there. You can see it kind of right there in the light. If we bring it down a little bit more, it'll be a little more focused. You can even adjust the angle of the spot to make it larger so that it covers a wider area. It really just depends on your need for the game. And then we have our fourth shape that we're going to talk about. It's going to be this area light right here. So if we create this area light and bring it into our scene, there we go. So, an area light, this is going to be where the massive trap in the exam is going to be. An area light emits light from a flat rectangle. It's going to act as like a glowing TV screen or a ceiling panel. But here's the catch. The area light only works if you bake your lighting in. So, if we bring this down, right, you're going to see that it's not actually doing anything in our game view. That's because we have to actually do what's called baking the light in. And that means that the computer pre-calculates the shadows and freezes them in place. They don't work in real time. So remember that for the test. Area lights do not work in real time. They don't create real-time shadows as the other three lights would. Alright, let's finish this video up by talking about shadows. In the inspector for any light, you're going to find this shadow type drop down. Hard shadows, if we click on it, create sharp pixel perfect edges. Soft shadows blur the edges, looking much more realistic, but they cost more computer processing power. A massive tip for game designing is you don't want every single light in your scene casting shadows. If a torch casts a shadow, and the moon casts a shadow, and the street light casts a shadow, your level is going to look incredibly messy. Usually we just let our directional light cast soft shadows, and we turn shadows off for our smaller point lights. So go ahead and spend the rest of the class adding in some lights, making your diorama, setting the mood and the atmosphere for it. I will be adding a script with this one, a day and night cycle light. It's basically what it's going to do is it's going to take it's going to rotate the light along the x-axis to simulate the Earth's rotation using a vector 3. You can add that to your directional light, and then you will be able to start seeing that. So an example of that would be and you see that rotating here. Now it's rotating a little fast. We could slow that down if we wanted to say 3, and then you start seeing it just slowly kind of going. You'll be able to see how that looks there. So alright, on to the next subject.